While most of us are just planting our garden, Marvin Botts is already harvesting the fruit of his garden. The 22-year-old resident of Brooks, Oregon has vine-ripened tomatoes grown in his greenhouse in an unusual way.
Just like those beer makers up north, Marvin Botts can claim that it's the water that makes his product special. Only in this case, the product is a tomato. What does water have to do with tomatoes? Everything. That is, if they're grown the way Marvin grows them. It's called hydroponics, and Marvin developed his own variation on this water culture.
And all it is this wire, and it has the eye bolts at each end and this plastic, black polyethylene plastic draped over it, approximately 6-inch tube, and the water will flow in and it'll go into a collection pipe at the other end, a 4-inch tube, and it'll come back around to this tank, and it'll recirculate like that all day.
These plants were only 8 to 10 inches tall when Marvin planted them in this plastic last December, but they've grown like weeds thanks to the banquet of nutrients he puts in their water.
The plants require approximately 16 or some odd nutrients. It's the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and then all these others, the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, manganese, zinc, copper, and chlorine, and a couple others. The different nutrients will adhere to the root hairs, and they have to be rinsed off. They cause toxicities and different things like that if the accumulation builds up with these salts.
The remedy is to give the plants a plain water rinse 2 hours every night. It takes a lot of ingenuity to keep something like this going. For example, tomatoes are normally pollinated by the breeze. Well, it's just too still in here. So to remedy that, Marvin brought in a vacuum cleaner, turned it on reverse, and the blooms came to life. The first fruit appeared about the 1st of May, and Marvin expects his 400 plants will eventually yield 20 pounds of fruit apiece. It's enough to make anyone look twice at the benefits that hydroponics has over conventional gardening.
Roots require oxygen, and when the soil is compacted like that, you can't get good oxygen to the roots freely. Now, with this fresh water running over the roots like this, the water is constantly aerated, and you have fresh oxygen coming in there all the time. Oxygen will stay in the water for approximately half hour, 20 minutes. So it's constantly aerated, and with this form, it just is always available. And the plants don't have insects to contend with on the roots, and they don't have funguses. There's a leaf mold from the humidity in the greenhouse, but as far as the actual cultural problems, there's just not any. With the ground, you've got worms attacking, and you've got different things that'll just cause all kinds of problems. But the growth is speeded up, and the growth is optimum. That's what we're working at, is to get to optimum conditions for the plant.
Is there anyone else that's growing it in plastic tubes like this?
Well, from what I've been reading, there's a few in Europe that have experimented with it, and the most similar system would be called nutrient film technique. And there's so little information on it that I just have a real hard time of finding out. So most everything that I found out is from individual experimentation.
The experimentation has paid off for Marvin, but he doesn't expect other farmers in the area to latch on to his idea. He says it takes real dedication and a love for hydroponics to get to where he is today.
Are you going to be able to sell these tomatoes?
Oh, my goodness, yes. The flavor, the quality is just right there. They're vine ripened, and they'll be individually labeled, and just the fascination of hydroponic. Everyone's fascinated by that.
So what do you think? Pretty good?
It's a tomato.
Boy, that's the kind of gardening for most of us, I'm sure. No more digging your hands in steer manure.
Yeah, but now when you go in the backyard to harvest your little tomatoes, compare them to those nice big juicy ones.
Boy, that's for sure. That's the way to go.
Next